Welcome back to another incredible Reddit Stories compilation. Today we're diving into our /Pettyrevenge with 4 amazing stories that will keep you hooked from start to finish. Subscribe for more daily content. This story is titled Contact Me Inappropriately 2 Can Play That, posted by you/talentcard815. I teach a course at the local college. I have learned the hard way not to give out my personal phone number. I used to get called by students at 11:30 p.m. or later on a weekend for a question that could have waited for class. The official policy of the school is all contact should go through email. I use GroupMe to send emergency updates, accident on the road on the way to school. The student will be absent late. Of course students direct message me. The new generation seems to think we should be available 247 to answer questions that they can just look at the handouts to answer, thank the maker for D&D mode. On Thanksgiving, one student messages me in the middle of dinner that they have a question. My wife actually wanted to message back for me saying it's inappropriate to contact me on a holiday. I told her I got this. For my regular job I get up at 4:40 a.m. I responded to that student right after I got up. I assume they got the point as they have not replied yet. This story is titled Hiroshima Museum, posted by you/I'm here. Moving on to our next incredible story. I was in the Hiroshima A-Bomb Museum today. The main museum experience is a walk down a few rooms where you see images of the victims, records, clothing, etc. saved from the Hiroshima bombing. It's a very sad and cathartic experience. There's this story of a child that survived the bombing, but still died of cancer as a 12-year-old girl. The museum doesn't point fingers at any nation or people, it just shows the horrors of war that the civilian population experiences, and urges peace and negotiation instead of violence. At the end of the walk there is a journal where visitors are welcome to write down their thoughts, right after what they had just witnessed. I was flipping through the pages. Everyone talks about peace, prayers, no war. And as I'm looking through the pages, a tourist stops by and asks, "Hey, are you gonna write something? You mind if I go first real fast?" I actually did intend to take more time to think, so why not? They started writing something down, took like 5 minutes. They appeared to be a short, Filipino guy, approximately in their 20s. He suddenly asked me where I'm from and I said, "California." He responded, "Me too. I am from Law, but my family is Filipino." "Okay, well that's cool," I said. He then proceeded to ask me where I am, really from, since I have a slight accent. I said, "Oh yeah, my fam is from X, but I don't really speak their language." The guy made some smirky remark, something about, "Well, you're Americanized, I speak the language of my parents." Okay, now I felt bad letting them cut in front of me, but whatever, they finished writing. As they finished writing and left, I came to the journals and looked at what he had written. I was shocked. Mind you, all the thoughts are about peace, how sad the coming is, how Hiroshima must never repeat itself. Which makes sense after what you see in the museum. They had written, "You had it coming, we won, and you lost. Suck it. Signed USAAF pilot." First of all, ain't no way in hell that Shadi is eligible to serve in the armed forces. Second, who, we? The guy said he's Filipino living in Law. Third, what the fuck? Well, I am not letting this bitch tarnish such a beautiful museum. I scribbled over their hateful words 3 times to make sure no one in that museum looking at the journals right after seeing the horrific images of dead children had to see such insults. People like this guy make me sick. It happened today. This story is titled Bail on Apartment, Lose Phone Minutes, posted by you/Brooklyn. This next story will blow your mind. Back in the early 2010s, I was in my NYC apartment with roommates Era. Woman around my age who had just moved back to the city from the West Coast met with me about an empty room in my place. She said she wanted to try a new neighborhood, Park Slope, for anyone familiar. And she thought my place was cute, etc. Great. Tedious roommate interview process over. Or so I thought. Maybe a week and a half later, I get a text from her saying that she just misses her old neighborhood Williamsburg too much, that she'll be moving out at the end of the week, and since she was only there for half a month, she would be prorating the rent, she also wound up bailing on utilities as well. A couple of months later, she but dials me. This was the era where most phone plans didn't have unlimited minutes. Now, her minutes were going to get really limited. I left my phone in my room and proceeded to go do errands for a couple of hours. I come back and the phone call is still on. I go and take a bath, complete with drinking tea, listening to soft music and fizzy spa salts. Phone call still on an hour later. I go and read on my bed. And either she hung up, or the call dropped maybe 45 minutes later. The 225 minutes of talk time was probably worth a whole lot less than half a month's rent. But at least it was likely a pain in the ass to deal with a Tant or Verizon or whatever during that next billing cycle. The chick who wound up taking her space lowered the roommate bar even more, after which I wound up getting my own place. This story is titled Complain About My Grocery Store Then You Will Be Pranked, posted by you/Ranson. And now for our final story of today. This was quite a few years ago, when I did backstock receiving for a mom and pop grocery store. The family who owned were kind, and not rolling in the dough. Definitely a community, quality before profits kind of place. The store had been around for generations long before the lofts were built on the street behind us. The receiving dock was on this street, so we got early morning deliveries. Despite it being a bit noisy, we always tried to keep the volume down. And we never got complaints until this one entitled NIMBY loft dweller. He would come over to the bakery trucks and yell at them for their loud clanking of bread carts. Later I found out he was blackmailing them, threatening to call in a noise complaint unless he got fresh bread or a treat. One day I noticed him get out of his car, a Volkswagen Jetta, to complain. He had a for sale sticker with his phone number, which I took down. I flyered the neighborhood with his at least 10,000 car for sale for $100, looking for a quick sale. Call me anytime. I also was one of the many people who would call him, then argue and complain about not being able to buy it for $100. He screamed, "I am so sick of getting these calls." Of course I gave his number to the bakery trucks. Eventually, the guy disappeared, but I still called about the car every once in a while years later. And that's all for today's Reddit stories. These incredible tales never fail to amaze me. Subscribe for more compilations like this. What did you think? Drop a comment. Thanks for watching.